Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy at Ninjazilla90. Yes, I rebranded back to my original username because I realized the new name change and new branding wasn't resonating very well. So I changed it back to what it was. But anyway, I will be reviewing the NECA Godzilla 1954, and this is a really cool blast from the past, and I got some things to say about it, so let's get things started. And now we have the NECA Godzilla 1954 right before us, and all of his OG Goji original Godzilla glory, of course, being from the first movie in the Godzilla series, Gojira, the 1954 Japanese original. And yeah, this looks at least as accurate can get to the original 1954 suit design, and I will be going over this figure in detail and articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure and then working our way down to the lower body portion of the figure, and then getting more in depth with the rest of the figure and the accessory that he comes with. So with that said, let's get started. And now starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure. As you can see, he's mostly a sort of black and white colorization because this is from the original black and white movie. This figure looks really nice. You can see all the finer details in the dorsal spines and everything looking really nice. You can see all the little bony spikes on top of his head. We have his small little bitty Godzilla ears there. Nice sculpt on the eyebrows. Nice sculpt on the nose and the nostrils. And a really sharp detail on the eyes there. Looking really nice. Articulation, the head can move independently from the neck, so we can rotate that head all the way around like he's Mecha Godzilla, and the opposite way. We can also rotate the neck independently from the body all the way around a full 360. We can look up about that much, down about that much, and of course we can look right and left, of course, because the head can move all the way around. The mouth is on a hinge, so we can open up that jaw really wide. We can see there's black and white bone white teeth in here inside his mouth. Yes, I said that, black and white bone white teeth. And of course the tongue in the inside of the mouth, it's sort of a dark gray colorization because this is from a black and white movie that was never remastered in color, but it would be cool to see the original Godzilla 1954 movie get remastered in color. That would be pretty cool. Hopefully one day Toho will do that. But anyway, getting more in depth with articulation, we do have a good ball joint in the shoulders, so we can bring the shoulders up about that much, back down about that much. We can rotate them all the way around a full 360. Same is true with the other arm. We also have a swivel hinge at the elbow, so you could bend that elbow forward and bring it back and swivel it a full 360. Same is true with the other arm. Bring it forward, bring it back, like so. Now you can see it, and swivel it all the way around. We have a swivel at the wrist as well, so we can swivel those wrists, and we can rock them forward and back on a ball joint. We also have some hinged fingers, so we can close those hands all the way and then reopen them. We also have a ball joint at the waist, so we can lean forward about that much and lean back, and we can rotate him all the way around a full 360 at the torso and bring him back. So that pretty much concludes it for the upper body portion of the figure. Now working our way down to the lower body portion of the figure. Now that we are at the lower body portion of the figure, we can go over leg articulation. The legs and the hips and the feet are well sculpted. Really nice detail on the toe claws there. The hips are on ball joints, so we can bring them out about that much, not very much at all, because they are hindered by the sculpt, and the ball joints are not that well articulated, but you can still move them at least a little bit, somewhat. We can also rotate the legs all the way around if 360 if we choose to, but as you can see, it is really tight and hindered by the sculpt, but it is doable but not recommended, as you just witnessed. So you can rotate those legs all the way around, but yeah, you do risk breaking the ball joints inside the hips when you do that, so do be careful. I was just doing that to demonstrate on camera. We also have a hinge in the knees, so we can bring them back about that much and forward about that much. Same is true with the other side, so we can bend those knees forward and back. That is really stiff. All right, there we go, and we can bring them back. We can also swivel those knees at the calves there, so we can do that. Same thing with the other side, so we can swivel legs all the way around like so, and we can also swivel the feet a full 360 as well. We can only swivel the feet. We don't have we do have a slight ball joint hinge, a slight ball joint, but we don't have that much articulation of the feet. We can just mostly swivel, and yeah, we can rock them forward and back a little bit, but not a whole lot. So there's that. The tail is comprised of 1, 2, 3, 4 ball joint segments, and the tip is a bending wire, which I am not bending on mine because I don't want to rip it, but we can get some decent poses out of them nonetheless, but not very much with the tail, but it's still doable. So that pretty much concludes it for the lower body portion of the figure. So now let's get more in depth with his accessory and getting a closer look at the figure. And now getting a closer look at the NECA Godzilla 1954 in all of its detail. As you can see, we have good detailing on the dorsal spines, really nice colorization on this figure. Like I said, this is basically a representation of how he looks in the original black and white film, and let's see how he looks if we can put him in a swimming pose. Not too bad, although yeah, can't really put him in too good of a swimming pose due to the limitations with the articulation on this one, but it's still doable. And we do have one accessory that comes with this one. This is a black and white heat ray breath effect part. Just like the poster version, his mouth opens and we have a little, if I can get it in focus, yeah, a socket in the back of his mouth. We basically stick this right on in there, and there we have it. Him using his heat ray breath effect part, getting ready to burn down the city of Tokyo. Looking really nice and really fearsome. I overall really like this figure. It's a shame that NECA no longer has the Godzilla license, but it would be really cool to see a Hiya Toys version of this figure. I mean, after all, I do have the SH Monster Arts version as well, but as you can see, there is a night and day difference between the two. Same with the 1956 American Poster version, which I have this one to compare to by SH Monster Arts, which is the colorized 70th anniversary version of the 54. But yeah, it's still questionable whether or not I'll get back into collecting SH Monster Arts because of the high price tags and declining quality. So I'm really not sure. I think I'm just going to stick with Hiya Toys Exquisite Basics by this point, and maybe dip my toe into some Super 7 stuff, because I'm still thinking about either, both of them, both Super 7 Ultimate Godzilla figures and Power Rangers figures. Although, like I said, I'm a little on the fence with the Power Rangers figures because I've seen like videos where people were reviewing the figures and changing out the hands, and I've seen like the little pigs inside the hands break. So I'm like, I'm not sure about those because that hasn't happened to me with the Lightning Collection figures, but it all really depends on, you know, what direction I choose to go in. But anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for this review. And with that said, I will now be getting into my final verdict, giving you guys my final thoughts and opinions on this figure, and giving this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict for the NECA Godzilla 1954 figure here. If I have to give this one a final score based on a detail, articulation, and playability, I have to give him a drum roll, please. And judging by the fact that this was a $20 figure, and I can't really compare it to that of SH Monster Arts or Hi Toys Exquisite Basic levels, so I can't hold very much against this figure, and I do have to give it a lot of leeway because this was a very affordable figure from back in the day when NECA still had the Godzilla license, so therefore I have to give him a drum roll, please. A well-deserved score based on detail, articulation, and playability of 5 out of 5 stars. Why? Technically, this figure is well sculpted. It is about as accurate can get. It's not perfectly accurate, but it's definitely the best representation of the 1954 Godzilla you could have gotten for an articulated figure for an affordable, budget-friendly price tag from back in the day. Of course, I really wouldn't pay aftermarket prices for these now, especially with Hi Toys has the Exquisite Basics line, which is like a little less than what you're going to pay for aftermarket prices, and basically Hi Toys Exquisite Basics. You know, they cost more than NECA figures, but they're a lot less than what SH Monster Arts costs. So they're pretty much a meet in the middle type of company, but they're not bad. This figure's not bad either. Like I said, it gets 5 out of 5 stars, so that's a perfect knocked out of the park score. You know, like I said, detail is good, articulation is good, playability is good. It holds up really well. I can put it in various different poses. I can battle with other figures. You can do stop motion. You can do whatever, and it holds together really well. It doesn't pop apart very easy at all, like some other figures where, you know, if you try to move the joints just a little bit, or even if you look at it too hard, the thing is falling apart. So, you know, what's the point of having articulation points if that's just going to happen? It's kind of pointless. It's kind of a waste by that point. But anyway, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this review. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps out this channel. And as always, love you all. Stay safe. God bless, and peace out.